Hi, my name's Deepak Shukla. I'm the founder of the Pearl Lemon Group. We're a multi-seven-figure company, and across the course of my career, outside of generating millions of dollars in revenue, I have run ultra marathons, Ironman, fought Muay Thai, applied to the British Special Forces, and have run to date, I believe, over 30 marathons and five ultra marathons. And today, I want to talk to you about how to get good at anything that you have never done before fast. Okay. So if you're, and it will happen in all stages of your career, frankly. And when I talk about career, let's talk about it globally because if you think about careers in respect of your continued development in any area of your life, it's quite an interesting way to frame things. So my career with my, for example, professional relationships can relate to potentially the quality and or the number and the exchange value of the relationships that I have in my life professionally. What is the average level of instant value that I'm able to give someone the first time that I meet them? So if you think of all of the areas of your life in terms of buckets, that's first of all how you can become a really useful human. Most people come in and in many environments, you don't have much to say. You don't have much to offer. And often that is simply at times an absence of experience. And this relates to how to get good at anything really fast. In absence of experience, you can beat the market by having an intense education. So it's powerful when you think about how to get good at anything really fast, especially when it's new. And oftentimes when you're nervous, is to think of each of the areas in which you want to excel really quickly. And there'll be continuously new areas that you'll either get exposed to. So then you need to reactively respond. So that might be within your company when there's a new company-wide CRM that's introduced. There's a new piece of software within, for example, relationships that you go through in your life. There's new types of relationships within your health. There's, for example, some feedback you got from the doctor, or there's a certain benchmark or milestone you want to achieve. If you think of all of these areas as careers, there'll be new requirements as you want to achieve new levels. So that will mean, again, learning something new at that stage. So the skills required from going from a 60 kilo bench press to 120 kilogram bench press require some things that are the same, but they also might require some things that are a completely different series of skills. And of course, when you're going from, for example, 0 to 1, it has even more application. So let's talk about fundamentally the 0 to 1 matrix, because that's a space when we think about how to get good at anything really fast. A classic example, one of the reasons that inspired this training today was there'll be several members of the team who are going into the space of cold calling. And there's lots of nerves attached to that. There's lots of what ifs, there's lots of second guessing, there's lots of sense checking. So, in terms of getting good really fast in certain spaces, the best way to get good really fast at anything is to instantly take a volume-based approach to the thing. So, the quickest way, oftentimes, to get good at anything is to do a shitload of that thing. It's faster in terms of the sheer return on investment that you get from any theoretical learning that you can apply. Now, at some stage, the return on investment that you get through going blindly does diminish, and then you need to apply education to your blindness to help you see things that you have not yet seen. But one of the misnomers that comes from how to get good really quickly is that we're never really blind in almost anything that we do. So actually, you come to any marketplace, even where you think I don't have any experience with experience. There's always experience. If you're going to cold call, have you ever spoken to anyone that you've never spoken to before? Of course you have. Have you ever had to give a presentation to an audience with some people that you either hadn't met before, or you don't know that well? Of course you have. When it comes to meeting new people, when it comes to relationships, unless it's truly the very, very, very first time, which is pretty rare actually, you always have an approximation of experience. So based upon that experience, you can use that to go and attack whatever the new thing is. And often, when you think about the 0 to 1 principle, you'll get a huge return on investment from, for example, if we extrapolate out the example of cold calling, you'll get a much bigger return on investment to say, I'm not going to discuss anything until I've spent 4 hours on the phone myself, because that might teach me 80% of the 10 hours I might think I need to know from books. And that has application in pretty much anything that you do. Want to learn WordPress? Install a WordPress website and just play around within a WordPress dashboard for an hour. Want to learn a Google Ads? Log into a Google Ad Manager account and spend an hour just playing around with the different features to get a sense of it. So you need to get as close to the source as possible. And at some point along people's journey, they tend to forget this. Whereas in other areas, and I say forget this because you'll never do that with something, you'll never do that with a sport. There's no one out there who says, okay, today we're going to learn about football. So I'm going to take you through a 3-hour tutorial on football. It's just nonsensical, that idea. But we'll do approximations of that in any other space because of probably the nerves and probably the fear of failure. Now, those nerves and those fears of failure will always remain, and they will remain as a consequence of inexperience fundamentally. So what tends to happen when you want to learn something new really quickly is you delay or you defer the day to gain the direct experience because there's that fear that you might mess things up. There's that fear you might get things wrong. But also, in almost all circumstances, if you can understand, well, what is the worst possible outcome of this exercise, of this experience, it's very, 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 very rarely irreversible. Jeff Bezos talks about this as being one of the key ways he makes decisions when it comes to Amazon and his company. He says, in life, there's very, very few one-way doors. So a one-way door is a change that you make in your life or in your education or in your behavior that you can't turn back from, that you truly can't, or it's extremely difficult to turn back from. He said 90% of decisions are two-way doors, meaning that it's reversible. That if it doesn't work, you can go back to what you were doing before. If it doesn't work, there's really limited downside that is physical, and we expand the metaphysical sense of what the punishment or what the pain might be. And that causes us to dither and to delay the actual execution. And that's why people do get the inverse problem of planning a lot more than they execute. When the irony is that if you expand your execution muscle, you'll find that this will fill in the planning muscle because you'll begin to learn things that you can truly only learn in practice, much in the same way that there are aggressively diminishing returns from taking the theory test, from watching a tutorial about something versus, of course, doing something. But when you do something and then over time, you then begin to apply some training to it, that's when you can amplify the actual effort that you put in because you've already got over some of the most important hurdles, which is I'm willing to put in the work, I'm willing to figure things out, and I'm actually learning a lot because, again, let's remind ourselves, there's always an approximation of experience that you have for almost all things that you do. Want to step into a leadership position. In other areas of your life, you've led. So just lead. Don't ask for permission. Just do. And not asking for permission, but rather seeking forgiveness when it comes to trying something new and aggressively attacking it is, in general, a much more successful way to operate in your life. That I went out there and I gave my best effort. I didn't get the result I wanted, and I got a bad result, and remember, one-way door versus two-way door, you just either say sorry or you say, I made a mistake. But if you're the person who's first to the basketball court, if you're the person who sees others at the basketball court, but you think, well, no one's really leading in this room, and I am scared because I haven't led, you have probably led in other areas of your life. So building that muscle, which is initiative, and diving in is so important when we talk about, again, this 0 to 1 principle. And again, there's a inbuilt contradiction with this 0 to 1 principle when you go from learning nothing to getting really, really good. The reason that we're able to do that is because actually we bring proximate experiences into almost everything that we do. So when someone goes from 0 to 1 in playing chess or playing basketball, it's not that you've never experienced anything that involves hand-eye coordination with basketball, because you've acquired that fundamental skill that then relates to the playing of basketball, which is why you're able to go from 0 to 1 really quickly. So then what it boils down to, and if you watch any of my videos, you'll understand why this is a running theme across all of the things that I communicate. Most problems are emotional. Most problems are emotional. There's no mechanical, there's no IQ, or there's no practical differentiator that separates you over time that will prevent you from success. It's your head, it's the emotions that you attach to things, which is why at some point the people that perform well have that ability to shut this down and just drive ahead. And then they're able to build such a body of experience that that's how you can become an expert practitioner without having the certificate, which is where we go back to, for those of you who have seen any of my videos that relate to how we hire at Pearl Lemon. But that's where education, quote unquote, matters, but also doesn't matter at all. Because the entire principle of any academic, and let's talk academic in terms of theoretical systems. So I'm talking training in general. So I'm talking courses and tutorials. It's all theoretical. It's the practical skill that carries the value in the marketplace. It's not the theory of it. Now, no, don't get me wrong. Consultancies exist for a reason, and consulting is at times part of what we do. But the skill that you want to optimize for is the action. And that's the fastest way to build the actual skill. So books are a hugely important part of this. So no doubt, if you want to educate yourself, you can do these things concurrently. You can learn the theory, you can do the thing. But if you're choosing the hierarchy, if you want to learn aggressively and quickly, don't read anything, but do everything. And you'll be impressed by how far you can go just on the basis of your own, and again, I'll say it, proximate experiences. Because there's rarely anything that we've done on life with which we have absolutely zero experience. You have the experience, you just got to take it from here and take the confidence that you have here and apply it here, and you'll find that if you can build that freedom of emotion, freedom of fear, you'll have a lot less questions, because all of the questions that will exist in here will 80% of the time be answered by just doing or taking the action. Which is why you'll see some people who are able to charge ahead because they have the question in their mind, but they're resolved to say to themselves, but I know how to answer this question. And often it's just on the other side of walking through that door and acquiring my experience to understand that, okay, so that's where that feature is within this CRM. Oh, okay, that's how you handle an objection when you get onto a call. Oh, okay, that's how you can build a list as opposed to waiting for other people to build a list. Oh, okay, this is what leadership looks like in this environment because I've just gone out and I've tried my attempt at leading. So to go from 0 to 1, outside of the tactics and the strategies, which all have application, I advocate and encourage you to attack whatever it is you're trying to learn with fierce consistency, because actually it's the consistency of action which will then allow you to progress extremely quickly.